Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I am going to ask you a question. Do you have to ever adjust your porcelain crowns or veneers or any porcelain onlays, any restoration? Do you have to ever adjust them? And if you have adjusted them, then what have you done? Have you just cemented them in patient's mouth, or you've sent them back to the laboratory to reglaze it, or have you polished them? If you polish them, how did you polish them? So let's look at some of the dilemmas we have when you have to adjust the porcelain. So it would, in ideal world, every restoration we put in patient's mouth would fit perfectly and we'll not have to adjust anything at all. If you never have to adjust occlusion ever, then many times it would be under occlusion basically. So there you might find cases where they're not even occluding at all to the next door tooth or to the opposing tooth. So make sure that the idea is not to keep the tooth out of occlusion. You need to have the tooth in occlusion in harmony with the rest of the mouth. So there will be times where you will have to adjust the porcelain. Now, if you are going to adjust the porcelain, what are you going to what are the options you have? One of the options you have is, if you adjust the porcelain and if it's quite heavy adjustment, then you remake. Or if it's a moderately heavy adjustment, then you send it back to the laboratory to reglaze the porcelain and restain and send it back to you. And that would be ideal option because glazing gives you really nice smooth surface. Having said that, if you keep firing porcelain again and again, that makes porcelain weaker. So it depends what type of porcelain it is. But if you think that the porcelain is being fired all the time, then that can cause problem. If you have done minor adjustment, then you need to decide, are you going to send it back to laboratory, or you're happy enough to polish the porcelain in the mouth. If you do not polish porcelain, then porcelain can trap plaque. It can even weaken the porcelain by leaving the rough edges. Also, if it's in occlusion, then it can exaggerate the wear of the opposite tooth if the opposite tooth is natural tooth. So every time I polish porcelain, I either send it back to laboratory for glazing or I polish chair side. If it's really heavy adjustment, then the restoration needs to be redone because the anatomy would have gone, and there must be some issue in either mounting or your bite or your impression, and that could be the reason why you need such a heavy adjustment. But if it's a moderate adjustment, then you need to send it back to the laboratory. But if it's a minor adjustment, then I tend to polish them using laboratory polishing tools, and they do work very well and they do give you really good quality surface. These are the burrs I use, but feel free to use whichever burr you find useful. Just make sure you polish your porcelain if you adjusted them. Either send it to laboratory or chair side. So I hope this short video was useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.